Welcome to Scrum Masters Elite_UK. Subscribe to the channel and join us in exploring profound leadership lessons through sports events.
When following the recent developments of the Ireland rugby team in the Six Nations, I cannot view everything just as a mere fan. I see it as a vivid lesson in leadership, trust, risk, and how a team faces a transition period. This was inevitable. There is no doubt that when a team passes its peak after the World Cup, they must answer questions that victory had previously temporarily hidden. Head coach Andy Farrell's decision to continue trusting a young attacking midfielder like Sam Prendergast, who wasn't yet ready for the international stage, made me think a lot. I don't think this is just a technical issue. It's a story about misplaced trust. A talent like Prendergast, who's a playmaker for Leinster Rugby, might have great potential, but the international stage is a different level, where every decision bears the responsibility of a whole nation. Two disappointing performances against the France national rugby union team and the Italy national rugby union team pushed Prendergast out of the 23-player roster. I'm not happy to see a young player dropped, but I also understand that the pressure for results does not allow for prolonged experimentation.
I clearly feel that the issue isn't only about defensive ability or match control, but also how the coaching staff handles transitions. When a young player is promoted too early and pulled down too quickly, the consequence isn't just a failed tactical decision, but also a damaged trust. What troubles me more is the situation with Jack Crowley. Farrell seems to have unintentionally undermined him by making a big bet on Prendergast. In a competitive environment, trust must be clear. If the coaching staff doesn't show clear support, a player will always perform with hesitation. I believe Crowley deserves at least a few consecutive matches to prove his worth. Otherwise, the team will be back at square one, stuck in a cycle of try-fail change. Another point that makes me reflect is how Ireland operates tactically. The six halves formation, the bomb squad style, was seen as a way to bolster the forward pack, but it doesn't seem to suit the personnel Farrell currently has. Returning to a 5/3 formation was a safer choice.
I see this as a leader caught between innovation and stability. In fact, the first two games showed that six halves wasn't a total failure. The substitutes came on, raised the intensity, and saved the team from worse outcomes. But top-tier rugby isn't measured by not losing badly, it's about being able to impose your game right from the start. When facing the England national rugby union team, a team known for its powerful forwards, it was surprising not to counter with a stronger forward structure. I understand that injuries to key players limited options, but rugby is a sport of depth preparation. I wonder if Ireland is paying the price for not having started rejuvenating their squad earlier. James Lowe's situation is a clear example of the pressure of form. At 33, he's not at the peak he was before the British-Irish Lions series. Despite a fairly good performance in the 20-13 win over Italy, doubts remain. I don't view Lowe with criticism, but with understanding. Age is a natural law.
No one stays at the top forever. What matters is that the team is prepared for the day that happens. The consistent appearance of Robert Ballacown gives me a spark of hope. A player who performs consistently at club level has been given a chance and has delivered. That's a positive sign. I believe that when opportunities are distributed fairly, the team will benefit from a healthy internal competition. Controversial decisions, like benching Tard Ben and Jamison Gibson Park, and even leaving Josh van der Flyer off the 23-man squad, left fans confused. But when all three returned to the starting lineup, I realized that sometimes the coach is just experimenting. The issue is that experiments need to have limits and be communicated clearly to prevent undermining the team's trust. One detail that made me think deeply is that there were 9 players over 30 in the starting lineup, and none under 24. After the Rugby World Cup 2023, Ireland is clearly in a rebuilding phase.
Yet Farrell's caution has slowed down the rejuvenation process. The case of Edwin Edogbo, who played only 11 minutes, is a clear example. I feel regret for a young player with the physicality and potential, but not given enough opportunities to develop. Similarly, not calling up Michael Milne, even though he performed well when he came on against France, raises questions about selection criteria. Instead, Farrell chose Tom O'Toole, a choice that wasn't optimal in the new position. I'm not in the tactical meeting rooms, but I believe consistency and transparency in player selection are crucial for maintaining trust. I've learned an important lesson from all of this. In any field sport, work, or life, transitions are always a sensitive time. If we are too conservative, we lose the future. If we rush, we break the present. Balancing these two is the art of leadership. I think we also need to learn to support maturely. Criticism is necessary, but it must be fair.
A young player like Prendergast shouldn't be defined by 2 bad games. An older player like Lowe shouldn't be judged by a few moments of decline. And a coach like Farrell shouldn't be dismissed entirely because of controversial decisions. The greatest educational value I see from this story is the spirit of responsibility. Every decision has consequences. Every choice sends a message. In sport, as in life, sustainable success doesn't come from short-term gambles, but from long-term vision and careful preparation. I believe Ireland will find their strong identity again. But to do that, they need the courage to face the issue head-on, to embrace rejuvenation, seize opportunities at the right time, and rebuild internal trust. This is not just a story about a rugby team. It's a lesson for all of us about leadership, patience, and growth after mistakes. Development always requires sacrifice, progress always involves risk, and the future belongs only to those brave enough to change responsibly.
Goodbye. Thank you all for following and sharing the journey of leadership, faith, and transition.